Marcus Chen had exactly 12 minutes before his shift started when he found the woman collapsed behind the dumpster in the executive parking garage. Blood pooled beneath her designer suit, her breathing shallow and ragged. Most people would have called 911 and waited. Marcus didn't have 12 minutes to spare. His daughter's medication needed picking up before the pharmacy closed, and missing another shift meant losing the health insurance that kept her alive. But he also didn't have it in him to leave another human being to die alone in the dark. The expensive watch on her wrist caught the fluorescent light as he pressed his custodian's shirt against the wound in her side, his hands steady despite the voice in his head screaming about everything he was about to lose. Again. "Stay with me," he whispered, his phone wedged between his shoulder and ear as he gave the 911 operator their location. "I've got you." Her eyes fluttered open, sharp and gray even in her fading state. She stared at him with an intensity that seemed to pierce through the pain, through the circumstance, straight into something deeper. Her lips moved, forming words he had to lean close to hear. "Your shirt, it's ruined. Not thank you. Not help me." Just an observation delivered with something that sounded almost like concern, which made no sense at all. Marcus had been invisible for most of his 34 years. Invisible to his ex-wife who'd left when 7-year-old Emma's diagnosis came through. Invisible to the hospital billing department that sent letters in red envelopes. Invisible to everyone who hurried past him as he mopped their floors and emptied their trash bins at Meridian Industries, where he worked the graveyard shift because it paid an extra $2 an hour. But this woman, bleeding out in a parking garage, had seen his shirt. The paramedics arrived in a chaos of lights and urgent voices. They asked his name, took his information, whisked her away on a gurney that probably cost more than his annual salary. Marcus stood there in the empty garage, his shirt soaked through with someone else's blood, and did the math in his head. 20 minutes late. The pharmacy would be closed. Emma's medication would have to wait until tomorrow, and she'd have a rough night because of it. His supervisor would write him up. 3 write-ups meant termination, and he was already at 2. He picked up his mop bucket and went to work anyway, because that's what you did when you had a little girl counting on you. 3 days passed. Marcus didn't think much about the woman after that first night, except in those quiet moments between sleep and waking when Emma's breathing was steady beside him in their studio apartment. He'd given up his bedroom so she could have the quieter space, away from the street noise. Some nights, when the worry kept him awake, he'd wonder if the woman had made it. If his ruined shirt had bought her enough time. Then she appeared at his supply closet on Wednesday night. Marcus was restocking toilet paper when he heard the click of heels on the linoleum, expensive sounding and deliberate. He turned, and there she was, the woman from the garage, alive and standing, though moving with the careful precision of someone still healing. She wore another designer suit, this one navy blue and spotless. Her gray eyes held that same piercing quality, but now they were studying him like he was a problem to be solved. "Mr. Chen," she said. It wasn't a question. "That's me." He held a roll of toilet paper in each hand, feeling suddenly ridiculous. "Glad to see you made it. Victoria Ashford." She extended her hand, then seemed to notice his were full and lowered it with something that might have been amusement. "I'm told I owe you my life. The paramedics said another 5 minutes and I would have bled out." Marcus shrugged, setting down the toilet paper. Anyone would have done the same. Statistically, that's untrue. Most people don't intervene in medical emergencies. Bystander effect, legal concerns, simple apathy. She said it matter-of-factly, like she was analyzing a business case. "You did. Despite being late for your shift, which I understand resulted in a written warning. Despite missing the pharmacy pickup for your daughter's medication." The words landed like small stones in still water, rippling outward. "How do you know about Emma?" "Because I needed to understand who you are." Victoria pulled a folder from her briefcase, who carried a briefcase 3 days after nearly dying, and set it on the supply shelf. Marcus Chen, 34, single father, 2 years at Meridian Industries as a night custodian. Before that, assistant manager at a retail store until your hours were cut. Before that, community college dropout when your daughter was born. Emma Chen, 7 years old, diagnosed with juvenile diabetes at age 3. Medical debt currently at $83,000 and climbing. Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. "If you're here to sue me for some liability thing, I don't have anything worth taking." "Sue you? For the first time, her expression shifted, surprise, maybe even offense. Mr. Chen, I'm here because you saved my life with a shirt that cost you $18 at Target and probably represented an hour and a half of your labor. A shirt you can't replace because you're $200 short on rent this month and Emma's insulin pump supplies are due for reorder. I really don't understand what's happening right now, Marcus said quietly. Victoria was silent for a moment, and something in her face softened in a way that made her seem suddenly, startlingly human. The man who stabbed me was my ex-husband. He's been arrested. I'm the CEO of Meridian Industries, Mr. Chen. This building, these floors you clean, the company that pays your salary, it's mine. And I've spent 3 days thinking about the fact that you destroyed your own security to secure mine. It was just a shirt. No, she said firmly. It was a choice. One that cost you tangibly and immediately. You knew the consequences and you acted anyway. She paused, then added softly, do you know what my first thought was when I saw you? When I was lying there convinced I was dying. Marcus shook his head. I thought, this man's shirt is ruined because of me. This stranger's night is ruined because of my failure to protect myself, because I parked in an isolated area, because I ignored the warning signs in my marriage until they became a knife between my ribs. And you'd done nothing to deserve any of it. She smiled, and it was sad and real. So no, my first words weren't thank you. They were guilt. You don't owe me guilt, Marcus said. Or anything else. I disagree. I owe you the acknowledgement that your kindness mattered. That it should be rewarded in a world that so rarely rewards it. Victoria picked up the folder again. Inside here is a job offer. Director of Facilities Management. Salary of $85,000, full benefits, signing bonus sufficient to clear your medical debt. You'll oversee the custodial staff, maintenance, building operations. The skills are teachable. The character isn't. Marcus stared at her. The words didn't make sense together in that order. You can't just, that's not how this works. I'm the CEO. It's exactly how this works. Victoria's expression was gentle but unyielding. I'm not offering you charity, Mr. Chen. I'm offering you a job you'll have to work very hard at, probably fail at initially, and eventually succeed at because you're the kind of person who shows up even when it costs you. The kind of person who sees a stranger's suffering and decides it's worth a ruined shirt. That's the person I want running my facilities. I don't have the qualifications. You have the only qualification that matters to me. You're decent. She set the folder in his hands. Read it. Think about it. The offer stands for 1 week. If you decline, nothing changes. You keep your current job, no repercussions. But if you accept, you start in 2 weeks. That gives you time to find better housing, closer to Emma's school. Time to breathe. She turned to leave, then paused. And Mr. Chen, thank you. I'm saying it now because I was too busy dying to say it then. Thank you for being the kind of person who stops. The world needs more people who stop. Then she was gone, heels clicking down the hallway, leaving Marcus standing in a supply closet holding a folder that felt impossibly heavy and light at the same time. That night, after his shift, Marcus sat on the edge of Emma's bed and watched her sleep. Her insulin pump hummed softly, the sound that was both his constant worry and his greatest relief. He thought about Victoria Ashford's gray eyes and the weight of choices and the strange mathematics of kindness. He'd ruined a shirt. She'd offered him a future. The world, Marcus decided, still had the capacity to surprise him. In the morning, he'd read the folder. In the morning, he'd consider the impossible possibility of a life with enough time, enough money, enough breathing room to be more than just tired. But right now, in this moment, he just held his daughter's hand and thought about how sometimes saving someone else's life meant finally having permission to save your own.